Chapter is a Hello, welcome to Walk in the Park. My name is Tony Ingram, your host, and this is March 28th, 2018. This is recorded, and you can see all of my shows, all of my episodes. This is episode 191. Go to my video blog, walkinthepark.tv. You can see that there, walkinthepark.tv, and see all of the episodes. You can search among them, the different categories and so forth. So, Walk in the Park is a public access television show out of Ithaca, New York. It's broadcast on, or cablecast, I should say, on Channel 13 in Ithaca. You can also see it online on my website once it gets up, and sometimes the shows are posted on at the Pegasus website, which is pegasus.webstarts.com. Notice that Pegasus is not SUS at the end, it's SYS, because Pegasus stands for Public Educational Government Access System, which are the three different services that do it. So this is public access, and there's an educational channel and a government channel. So that's what those signify. We also have a Facebook page. You can go to that and like that, and notifications of some of our shows are put on there, and also links to online viewing some of people's shows on that. So this time we're going to go to the third most popular park in the United States, state park, I should say, according to, I think it was a 2015 Best 10 USA Today survey done of people that went on the survey. Anyway, so we're going to we're in the Finger Lakes, in case you happen to be watching this from somewhere far away and don't really know where the Finger Lakes are. Well, we're in central New York, and there's a label there of the Finger Lakes. We're going to go to the lake that is indicated there with the Finger Lake sign is Seneca Lake, which is the largest of the lakes. Cayuga Lake is to the right. We'll be there soon. Down to the southern end of it is the village of Watkins Glen, and also Watkins Glen State Park, which is indicated here. So we're going to swing around to the east and look at Watkins Glen State Park right there. That is the beginning of the gorge, which actually empties right into the village. And we'll have more to say about that later. But I was there a couple of weeks ago and looking into the gorge. You can't get into the gorge now because it's very snowy. So this is what it looks like if you go over the suspension bridge. There's a footbridge that goes across the gorge, and you can look into it from there. And there's also views along two trails that go along the rim of the gorge, and you can see a lot of neat stuff, even though you can't get on the gorge trail now. That'll be opened up sometime in May after they get all of the winter-loosened rock removed from the cliffs in a process called scaling. And probably in a couple of weeks, I'll be showing my scaling show again. Once again, this is Walk in the Park, walkinthepark.tv in Ithaca, New York, Channel 13, and also online at that website, walkinthepark.tv. So, let's see, what are we going to do first here? I think we're going to take a look at what it looked like a couple of weeks ago. And I got a little video that I took that day, so let's go there. I'll bring that up in just a second here. Coming right up. Okay, we'll have it in a second. In mid-March, I took a walk on the rim trails around Watkins Glen State Park and took a look into the gorge. You can't go into the gorge during the winter, and it won't be until they you'll be able to enjoy it. Okay, so that's what it looks like now, or has been. We've had a little bit of thaw lately, so maybe it's not quite as snowy. But actually, in some winters, there are quite a bit of ice in the gorge there, which makes it quite treacherous. So we do have a special event coming on with Public Access, Pegasus, Community Media, and this is on Monday, April 2nd. There's going to be an open house. Let me zoom in here, see if I can get that into the screen. We're going to have an open house, Pegasus Ithaca Community Center, open house, April 2nd, 5:30 to 7:30. That's 612 West Green Street. Come see how your community media center works and watch the premiere of Ithaca in Jeopardy! Okay, you're going to the mayor, Svante Myrick, goes head-to-head with Ithaca City School District Superintendent Lavelle Brown and graphic artist producer, let me see, get the hands off here, Mickey Quinn, in a battle of wits about all things Ithaca. And it'll also be airing from the Pegasus studio on Spectrum Channel 13, April 2nd, 7 p.m. But come on down to our open house and see how we actually produce videos here, how we produce TV shows. And this is a community media center, so you can learn about, you can actually take a little class and become certified to be a producer. We have equipment that you can take out and do your own shows and put them on TV and also put them up online. So come on down, April 2nd, 5:30 to 7:30, or tune in at, 7 p.m. for Ithaca and Jeopardy! Okay, let me get back to my main screen here. So now we're going to go back to Watkins Glen, and this time it's going to be in the summer. Now I'm actually working on a video of the park, which will go along with a book that I have about Watkins Glen State Park. I used to work for the state parks for many, many years, and so I wrote a book about it after I retired. But this time we're going to go take a look at a section called the Narrows, and then we're going to go to a section called the Glen Cathedral. But first let's go to the Narrows, and well, let's just take a look. We'll get up in the Narrows. Coming right up. Upstream from the suspension bridge, Glen Creek is quiet for a stretch. If you were to stop for a moment before climbing through the short tunnel, you would get a special glimpse of Diamond Falls, far ahead in a section of the glen called the Narrows. Beyond the tunnel, you might see lovely wild Columbine with its red blossoms perched on rock ledges here and elsewhere in the glen, should it be May or early June when it blooms. In the Narrows, the sides of the gorge are close together and little direct sunlight can penetrate. In this cooler and shadier environment, there is less evaporation than in more open sections of the gorge. With the stream confined between damp rock walls below us, this is one of the most humid places in Watkins Glen. The Narrows is lush with ferns, mosses, tender wildflowers, and trees that love these conditions. In the old days, it was called Sylvan Gorge. Perhaps most striking are the evergreen trees above on the opposite slope. They are eastern hemlocks, which thrive on shady, cool, steep slopes. Hemlocks are under attack from an invasive insect. The park is working hard to save many of its majestic hemlocks. Near the upstream end of the Narrows, several large joints cross the gorge, creating Diamond Falls. Waterfalls often form where joints cross the gorge because they are weak places where the stream can remove rock along the joint more easily than elsewhere. In this case, there are small joints that run parallel to the gorge and at right angles to the cross-gorge joints. Water soaks between layers of rock, freezes, and occasionally pops up a square or diamond-shaped slab of stone. Floods wash the loosened slab down the gorge, usually breaking it up. A ledge is formed at the joint crossing the gorge, creating a waterfall.
From Diamond Falls, the gorge trail climbs out of the Narrows toward Glen Cathedral.
Okay, so that's what you'll see in the summer. So come on back. You can see this is sort of out of context, talking about joints, which are cracks in the rocks caused by mountain building forces and perhaps natural gas pressures underneath a great deal of weight and compression, forcing cracks in the rocks, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, this is all within the context of my longer video and in my book. So we'll get to the book in a little bit. But now we're going to go to the next section of the gorge that I am featuring, which follows right on the Narrows, and that's called Glen Cathedral and also Central Cascade. So I'm going to show you the next video coming right up here. Get that one going. Glen Cathedral and Central Cascade.
As you emerge into the light from the Narrows into Glen Cathedral, conditions change radically from where you've just been. If it is a sunny day, you are bathed in light, and the temperature can be much warmer than it was below in the Narrows. On the right, the cliff faces south, toward the sun. Instead of hemlocks, ferns, birch, and mountain maple, you find plants that love sunny, dry, barren spots, including wild sunflowers, goldenrod, wild carrot, raspberries, grasses, and wild columbine. Yet directly across the creek in the shade of the north-facing bank, hemlocks and yellow birch continue to thrive in a microclimate radically different from this one. Here, it is as if you have gone from a rainforest in the Narrows to a desert in Glen Cathedral. A short distance ahead, the forest that was on the opposite bank disappears and is replaced by a huge high cliff with uninterrupted rock layers. The high wall of the Glen Cathedral provides one of the best displays to discuss the origins of the rocks in which Glen Creek has sculpted its gorge. It's a remarkable layered cake of stone rising unbroken to the gorge rim. Some of the rock layers in the cliff are blocky and durable, and others are thin-layered and crumbly. The blocky rock is sandstone or siltstone, and the crumbly rock is shale. Much of the earth is covered by sedimentary rocks that form from particles that are generally the accumulated weathered remnants of other rocks. The rocks of Watkins Glen, and indeed most of the surface rock of New York State extending from the Catskill Mountains in the east to Lake Erie in the west, formed from layers of sand, silt, lime, and clay, laying down on the bottom of an ancient sea. They were subsequently buried by more sediment until the entire mass was compressed into stone by its own weight and glued together by natural cements in the water. The inland sea that once covered this land no longer exists, but it left its accumulated seabeds behind for us to walk on. These ripple marks in the stone on the trail surface were made by water flowing on a sea bottom hundreds of millions of years ago. You might think of the entire glen as a giant staircase of waterfalls, with each waterfall being a step. The biggest such step lies ahead. Many sections of gorge in Watkins Glen have waterfalls plunging into them at their upstream ends, and the Glen Cathedral is one of the most dramatic examples. At the far end of the Glen Cathedral, you come upon a magnificent view of Central Cascade. The great walls of the Glen Cathedral come together at the falls, and you must climb another staircase to get to the top. You walk through the final short tunnel and step out onto a stone bridge directly over the waterfall. Looking back from the footbridge as the water thunders below, you can imagine that Central Cascade is leading the erosion of the immense Glen Cathedral, much as Cavern Cascade was eroding Cavern Gorge.
Okay. So, take a trip to Watkins Glen this summer. They have the big grand opening of the new entrance, and be a lot of interesting new things there. And of course, just to go in the gorge. Good time to go is during the week when it's not quite as crowded and quite as busy. So I recommend that. So now we're going to go back to our space picture of the Finger Lakes and go over to Cayuga Lake, which is in the center there, and down to the bottom end of that, where this TV show is being recorded, down in Ithaca, New York. And we're going to take a look at another gorge, which Ithacans are very familiar with. To the right of the word Ithaca in there is, well, let's zoom around, Ithaca Falls. And there's a community of Fall Creek and Fall Creek itself that pours over Ithaca Falls, which is indicated right in the middle here. Now this is an aerial photograph by Bill Hecht, who's a local photographer who loves to get up in airplanes. He also has a drone, and there you might be able to make out Ithaca Falls just to the lower right of center, and then just above that is a bridge, a Stewart Avenue Bridge, if you know the area. Now, most of us see Ithaca Falls with a view something like this when you walk up the short gorge from Lake Avenue, whatever, Lake Street, I guess, and you can see it from there. It's very short. It's an easy walk and lovely, but some people, well, none of us get this view. Well, let me put it that way. None of us get this view except for people that are using equipment to do that. In this case, a guy named a photographer named Matt Champlin has a drone. He does a lot of drone photography, a lot of beautiful drone photography, and he took this photograph from the air above. And actually, I have a little video that I downloaded from his Instagram account that we'll see how that looks from the same scene. So stand by here. We'll get that video up, coming right up here. Let's see. Oh, it's pretty short, but very lovely. We don't get that view of Ithaca Falls. Ithaca Falls is one of the biggest waterfalls in the state. It's 150 feet high and 175 feet wide, and it was actually the center of industrial power in Ithaca back in the 1800s, where a lot of mills got their power from the height of water above the falls that was channeled through an adjacent ravine and piping to several mills. So in any case, let's, of course, this is Walk in the Park, a show, public access, media, television in Ithaca, New York. You can see all of my episodes, including this one, once I get it up online, at my video blog, walkinthepark.tv. So, okay, so now I'm going to show you a short video. It's called from my Park Minute series. This is a little more than a minute, but less than 2 minutes. 4 big falls around Ithaca, New York. Now, I've been producing this series mainly for posting online, but also putting up on public access television, so it's shown on TV here as well. But it's one of these kinds of media that you can use in various places, like online or on TV or elsewhere. So I'm not sure where elsewhere is, but anyway. This particular video was entered into our annual Pegasus Public Access Media Awards competition, and I was in the short video category, and I won. This was done last year. This was made in February or March last year, and so these were entries from the previous year. But it was just a week ago, less than a week ago, that we had the competition. So turns out I was lucky enough to win, and it was also voted the best public access program submitted in the competition. So anyway, I'm going to show you that. And again, this was from last year, as it will show you. Coming right up once again.
Unusually warm weather in February melted snows in the hills around Cayuga Lake and filled waterfalls to perfect levels.
Okay, so I have one more video to show you. That is a music video done by a friend of mine, the late Duke Kooistra, who passed away in the last few months. And anyway, he did this video called After the Rain, which is coordinated with photographs from Stewart Park at the south end of Cayuga Lake. So let's take a look at After the Rain by Duke, my friend Duke Kooistra. All right, coming right up once again here. Duke Kooistra, after the rain. May he rest in peace. Good friend, good guy. So that was at Stewart Park in Ithaca, and that's what it's going to look like in the summer. As you may remember, it's been so long. So anyway, I thank you all for joining me, and as soon as you can, turn off this screen, and I encourage you to go outside and go for a walk in the park. Thanks for joining me. Is a